affects my sinuses. So if I know I'm going to drink, I'll pop 2 Mucinex, like as much water as I can. And then when I get home, and then in between every couple drinks, I have some water. And then I'll take a couple ibuprofens before bed. No problem.
All right, Tiger Woods. I say, yo ass, you got my number, right? Ass pulled over and shit.
Hell
Easy.
yes.
Okay, so I have, Jesus Christ, 6:41. So you can make the call on what time you want to call it.
Okay.
Strike the band up, Johnny.
Perfect.
Yeah, let's do it.
It's that 9 to 5 time to feel alive. This is Band from Ringside.
Tonight's on the Band from Ringside podcast, 2-man pod, no Bill, no Zach, no problemo. We, myself, and the Murray Man Murray are going to fix the WWE in 1 short hour this week on the Band from Ringside podcast.
Woo. It's a little different.
A little different.
It's a little different this week.
Buckle up. Ditch that 9 to 5. It's time to feel live. Hello, Marks. Your boy, Jebel, a.k.a. Ben Joblessburger. I'm sorry, Joblessburger. And sitting to my right, my boy, Murray, the Murray Man Murray. What's going on, Murray? Talk to me.
Dude, I'm doing great. Like I said, this is a little bit weird this week.
Obviously. A little bit.
It's the meanest and the nicest. Good cop, bad cop this week.
No, we'll be called the Mark Foundation.
The hate and love connection. That's for Bill.
That is for Bill.
So, by the way,
talk to me.
You know what else is exciting about tonight?
Well, outside of the usual, unusual 2-man pod, but what else is exciting?
Earmuffs Children. We are fucking live on social media
talk
right
to
now.
Him, Daddy. Talk to him.
So right now, as we speak, we are live on YouTube. And as soon as we start getting into it, I'm going to let Jason start talking, and I'm going to start sharing it to our Facebook, Band from Ringside Podcast. I'm going to share it to our Twitter, at BFR Pod. I'm going to share it from my personal one, at BFR Mur, 2 R's, at BFR JCB, BFR JCB. I said it right the first time. Right. And then, the other 2, at BFR Zach, with an H, and at BFR Bill, those 2.
Is he still at 100 followers?
I don't care. So also, don't forget, and I know you've probably seen some of the videos going around on social media as well.
I did share them.
Jake Parnell, Warhorse. I probably said that backwards, but, I've had a couple of beverages. He's been killing it with his power horse or horsepower promos. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was backwards.
$5 literally will get you any type of promo you need, whether it's for someone's birthday, whether you want to get someone to yell at your boss for you, whatever it may be. We've thrown them some money too to do some promotional stuff for us, and it's been nothing but gold. So make sure you're checking that out. One of them that he did for us was for Pro Wrestling Tees, prowrestlingtees.com. We've got 3 t-shirt designs you can get. Father's Day is on Sunday. So make sure I got my Warhorse shirt on.
But that's fine too. Got to represent.
It works with the scenario here. But yeah, so make sure to go to prowrestlingtees.com, get your shirts. And then also real quick, we still have WHW, What Happened When, with Tony Schiavone, ending up June 27th. Saturday night at Off Broadway in St. Louis here. We did the one with Eric Bischoff. It was an amazing time sitting down, listening to all these guys tell these stories. They also usually take questions from the audience and stuff like that towards the end, so you can get all your questions and Tony stuff that happened throughout all these years of great years of professional wrestling. So make sure we'll be there. Come join us. Tickets are still available. So I'm excited. What are we getting into, Jason?
So this week we're going to do something different. First allow us to, as we pull down the good book of the Band from Ringside podcast, volume 111, chapter 3, verse 14, and the good smart saith, hashtag boo the heels. It is all good, baby. Shout out to my girl, Becky Balboa. I love you, babe.
Hi, Becky.
Tell her some love for me. Her graduates.
Oh, shit.
So it is an exciting time to be Mr. Tyler. Shout out to my boy Tyler. Have fun this weekend. Make good choices. Don't be stupid. Anyway, this week we are doing something different. Normally we are around here to bash the WWE, but this week, since there was going to be no Bill Veggie, I decided that since it was going to be in our hands to decide what this podcast was going to be, I said, fuck it. You know what? We are going to do something a little different. We are going to take this time and fix the WWE in 1 hour. So we are going to do the normal 3 count, but we're just going to do it in how we are going to fix the WWE, our top 3 reasons, top ways to do it. So before we get into that, first and foremost, let's introduce our plush Shock City Studio Lounge, our new engineer this week, Mr. Easy E behind the wheels.
Motherfucking
First time in, had a little trouble trying to get it started, but he's got things going. Easy's behind the wheels of steel this afternoon.
wasn't his fault.
It was not his fault by any stretch of imagination. He's doing a fine, fantabulous job. We are here from beautiful downtown St. Louis, Missouri, the home of the Stanley Cup champion St. Louis Blues. I just want to take a quick time out and say, you know what, Boston? Suck it. This is for 1970. And for me personally, this is for Spygate. No, this is for Spygate. I waited 20 years for Spygate. This is my turn to get back at you jokers. So
check the hat out.
Now that we have gotten the pettiness out of the way, let's sponsorship, pay some bills. First and foremost, on the top of the list is our day one-ish. That is Mr. Soul Taco. I was just there the other day thinking to myself, you know what? I'm hungry. I need to get something to eat. I need to get me some Soul Taco. Make sure that we keep getting that money to our sponsorship. Take yourself down to Soul Taco. Plenty of places to go. We have food trucks going around downtown St. Louis and the surrounding areas. I went to the Loop area.
That's my normal one, too.
Okay, I was getting ready to say one in Chesterfield, one in Columbia. I was actually in Columbia. I walked by a cool spot. Chicago.
They're popcorning everywhere.
Slowly but surely, popcorning left and right. Go in. Check out some Soul Taco. Tell them that Band from Ringside sent you. Second sponsor would be JJ Twigs on Southampton, the first of our 2 Southampton independent restaurateurs of our Southampton Mafia. Just because the Blues have finally brought home the Stanley Cup does not mean that doesn't give you a reason to not go see our friends at JJ Twigs. The weather's getting nice. It was about 85 degrees. It is patio weather, if I do say so myself.
Beautiful.
Bring the dogs, bring the cats. Why? Because it is pet friendly on your patio at JJ Twigs. Order up a nice pizza. Take care of the waitresses and waitresses. Take advantage of now Cardinal drink specials that are now going to start stepping into the plate. Just because the Blues have finished 1 season doesn't mean that a second season doesn't start up. Go check out our friends at JJ Twigs on Southampton. So without further ado, let's get to our 3 count. Now, first count.
What we're going to do?
Here's where we're going to play things a little different. So, like I said, I came up with the idea for the show this week of let's not bitch about the WWE. Because it's pretty easy to bitch about the WWE coming off of Friday's Super Showdown. If you saw it, great. If you didn't, great. I'm not going to judge you neither here nor there. I saw the 1 match, Goldberg versus Taker. It's the only match I saw. I watched it from beginning to end. And for me personally, it is on the top 5 matches I've ever seen in my life. That Hogan and Taker. I'm not Hogan Taker. Hogan Ultimate Warrior from Halloween Havoc. It was so this. Okay, it's this level of bad. Okay, Jeff Hardy, Sting, TNA. This level of bad.
Oh.
Okay, so
and neither one of these guys were fucked up.
Okay. They might as well have been, but that's another story for another time. So instead of taking the easy way out, I said to myself, JCB, you know what? We're going to do things different. How can we make things better? So I sent out the text. This was our home. This is what we're going to do. Come and do. There's no Vince. There's no Triple H. There is no Shane. There's no Stephanie. There's no Kevin Dunn. There is this man, Murray the Murray Man Murray. There is this man, your boy, JCB, baby. We're in charge. We're going to figure this shit out. Murray, you're in charge. What is the first thing you do in charge of the WWE?
So this may not be the most popular opinion. And also, while we're doing this, while we're live, feel free to jump in and tell us what you think we should be doing too. We want to hear your opinions on how you think you can be changing, the creative of WWE. I think personally, they need to stop grabbing up talent. And don't get me wrong, we're all a bunch of NXT marks here, and we love seeing guys and girls that we love in other promotions coming up to NXT because we know they're going to do great things in NXT.
Right.
They're going to be taken care of down there. But there is such an overabundance of talent in that under the entire NXT UK, regular NXT, Raw, SmackDown, 205 Live, Superstars, all the other crap that they keep throwing out. Stop bringing in talent for a few years because there's nothing to do with them. That you can't. That's one of the reasons, in my opinion, why when wrestlers from NXT go up to the main roster, we all get so sour about it, and we all get really worrisome because we know that they're going to get there, and they're in the land of the sharks up there. There's already guys like Roman and even Braun Strowman, who's hardly on TV but still gets all the big spots.
Right.
Not any of these guys, but the problem is once they get to that point, there's nowhere for them to go. Right now, they're only showing promos for Aleister Black that is him opening up doors and asking for people to wrestle him. Now, granted, they might be going somewhere with that, but that's kind of like in my opinion, that's kind of a precursor to, or not a precursor, but kind of what's going on in WWE right now. They have all these great talents, and they're not able to do anything specific with them. And if they can still use them, they're going to throw them into situations like the 24/7 title, which again, at least they have somewhere to go or have some type of story to tell in that sense. But we keep bringing in talent and we keep flooding the market with all these wrestlers, and there's nowhere for them to go. So in my opinion, that my first measure of operation would be to cease signing talent.
Even though your number two, well, not even your number two, but your competition is nipping a little bit at the front door, you will allow them to sign the next big name talent to come up before you sign them. How long is this going to stay? Is this going to be 6 months? Is it going to be a year? This halt of signing new talent.
I don't know. Let me just say generically a year. Give us a year off. Now, like you said, you made a good point that there are other companies that could be swooping up talent.
AEW.
Granted.
New Japan.
They could still be doing those things and still.
You want to give another shout out to Impact Wrestling? I mean, they'll snatch them up too.
And they rightfully so. They're actually doing great things. And if I was a wrestler right now, I wouldn't mind going to Impact, depending on what all of the,
what the landscape
stipulations
was.
and everything,
exactly.
all of the details we know nothing about, whether we think we do or not. So,
we don't.
But as far as their products so far, they're telling stories over there. They're able to be a little bit more creative, and honestly, Impact's been killing it lately.
I like Impact a lot.
So say a year.
Okay.
Let's just say a year.
Okay.
And if people get picked up by other promotions, they could still initially get picked up by WWE event. I mean, there's no ceiling. Obviously, The Undertaker and Goldberg are 100 years old and are still wrestling for WWE. So if there's talent out there that's getting a little older, they could. I mean, AJ Styles is a great example. He's not the youngest cat in the world, and he's still one of their top dogs. And they got him laid as a motherfucker as far as, AJ Styles' run is concerned. So hold off and work with who you have. Get your guys over and your girls over. Because again, I'm going to repeat myself with this, but you keep bringing in all these new, like Ricochet is another great example. They are wasting Ricochet, even though he's having great matches. It
kind of feels like they're wasting those good matches.
Why not just leave those guys down? Granted, NXT is an hour long. So they can't flood that either with all of the amazing talent that they have there. So they have to move them somewhere. And main roster shouldn't be scary. That should be something that we all look for.
Right.
But again, it seems like that's happening every 6 months now, that they're bringing up new stars from NXT or wherever else. Like, Lars Sullivan, I'm sure we could talk an hour about that. Matt Hardy actually there was a tweet. I'm not going to get into details. There was a tweet that he sent out about, I guess he was supposed to do a Matt Hardy or a Lars Sullivan match, but he wasn't, like, 3 luchadors, whatever it was. And he was like, I'm good either way. So but my point being, he was in NXT not that long ago.
Right.
And he's been brought up just to job out Lucha House Party, who I didn't care for as a group before. And now I'm rooting for them to just whoop his ass. So either they're doing right by Lucha House Party, but they're not going to finish it off right for them. They just keep getting their asses kicked.
You know how this is going to end.
No,
I mean,
they're monstering him out.
Yeah, there's no way that the Lucha House Party is going to go over Lars Sullivan. They put too much time and effort into it. But it is what it is. It's just to show, okay, this is this monster that you have in Lars Sullivan. I get it. I'd rather it kind of go that way versus jobbing out somebody like Ricochet off the top of my head. I'd rather just go that way versus the way that they're doing now. That being said, I will agree with you that I think a lot of this is a lot of talent that has been brought in, and you didn't know what you were going to do with some of this talent you already have. There's no plan for, if there's 10 guys, there's not a plan for 8 of these guys. Right. Now you bring in another 5 more. So you still don't have a plan for these 10, and you're bringing in 5, and 4 out of the 5 you don't have a plan for. So as you start bringing in more and more talent, you don't have a plan for any more. So everybody is kind of looking for a place to go. I get what you're saying on that. Good point. I totally agree. My number one way I would do it is kind of piggybacking off of your thought process, because it has NXT involved. I would just do 2 brands, but I would do 2 brands where you have literally the main roster, the quote unquote main roster, and you have NXT, but they're equal brands. Okay. You would take NXT off of the WWE network and move that into Wednesday night, right, where it would be on USA. This is all hypothetical. Right, so you would have Monday, Wednesday, Friday, all on lock, because then SmackDown goes to Friday. So you'd have those 3 shows, 2 hours for Wednesday, Friday. Raw stays at 3. So now you have the 3 shows. You got NXT for another hour, because
2 hours.
So 2 hours.
Yeah, I could go with that.
Okay. So now you've given the NXT, which is basically the crown jewel of the bunch, another hour. So you don't have to push. You don't have to, I wouldn't say give away, but you don't. Ruby Riott is perfect example. Okay. I haven't seen her since the Superstar shakeup. This is the perfect time to get her back on TV, make her relevant again.
Yep.
So now, okay, and I know we're thinking, is this going to be a brand crossover where NXT guys wrestle, quote unquote, main roster guys? You can do that if you want to. In my world, I don't want to. The only time that would happen is when you would have the big 4. Right. So now you still hold that kind of like special magic, so you don't always, quote unquote, waste a good matchup.
Right.
But you still then have NXT, its own little separate brand, quote unquote, and you have the main roster, quote unquote, brand, if that makes sense.
No, it does.
Okay.
I kind of go. I totally get what you're saying.
So now, like I said, now you would still have 2 world champions, but you'd have a world champion that specifically is the wild card rule is gone.
That's garbage.
Okay.
Yeah.
In JCB land, that is officially gone. But I want to still stick to having 2 champions, one on Raw, one on SmackDown. You'd have the mid-card champions.
Right.
You have the IC or the tag team champions. 205 Live can stay on Tuesdays.
For sure.
1 hour is perfect. That way you can kind of keep
They're
it.
killing it on 205 right now.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say, or if you want to move it to, actually just leave it on Tuesdays.
Leave it the way it is.
Perfect. Yeah, I was about to say, maybe you can get more eyes on it. And then you can go Wednesday, NXT, Thursday, take a break, Friday, SmackDown,
Right.
Saturday, Sunday, do whatever you want to do. Go ahead.
So what about the idea of, so basically, again, piggybacking on that, now, this is kind of a huge nerd in me. I play a lot of WWE 2K19, and I make literally my own shows, my own pay-per-views, all my own wrestlers.
You book your shit.
I totally fantasy book my own shit in that game. Way I do it with pay-per-view, and this is just me, somebody who knows nothing about how the business actually operates for
None
the
of
most
us do,
part.
but go ahead.
But what if you did, and I know they did this kind of back in the day when they officially had Raw was Raw, SmackDown was SmackDown. There was no crossovers. So what if they did 1 month they did Raw's pay-per-view. The next month they did NXT's pay-per-view. The next month they did SmackDown's pay-per-view. The next month they did one that was a crossover pay, not bragging rights, not which brand is better, because that never fucking works.
But okay, so then like, could we extend that to where the crossover pay-per-view is a big four pay-per-view?
Yeah.
WrestleMania.
Basically.
I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Not necessarily WrestleMania exactly, but have one specifically tailored to having fantasy booking in a sense, to where
Money in the Bank.
it's kind of. So where we want to see Johnny Gargano against Daniel Bryan. It's something we all want to fucking see, but it's never going to happen while they're split like they are. So if we had a pay-per-view that was specifically, you don't necessarily, you could still tie in stories, WWE wouldn't, but if it was my booking, I would poke in a little story as we progress, because they don't do any of that. There's plenty of room to plant seeds, even if it's just for one pay-per-view. It's just to start. It's a fantasy booking. That's all it is. And not Saudi Arabia's fantasy booking. Not Undertaker Goldberg.
No.
Get rid of that shit. Like I said, like something like Gargano, Daniel Bryan, you can't tell me that match wouldn't be fucking fantastic.
No, it would be something I would definitely be interested in.
And why do we want to see it? Why would you want to see that match?
I think it has all the opportunity of being match of the year
and
written all over.
And that has nothing to do with any
technical. It'd be scary.
Long-term storytelling or anything. It's because we know both of them are badass.
Right.
Gargano's a good guy. He's a face like a motherfucker.
And right now, Daniel Bryan is one of your hottest heels. Yeah.
It's perfect wrestling storytelling in ring. You don't have to really, you could hype up with all kinds of packages like they have been doing, but so separate some of the pay-per-views in the sense to where, like you said, if you have three complete separate brands, you could give them their own piece and also give us as the fans what we want. And that's stuff we're not going to get if NXT and SmackDown are two completely different brands and they can't cross weekly.
The crazy part about it is, I won't say it's sad. The crazy part about it is we didn't talk about this either list, and this is scarily similar because my next point is going to be kind of a point you just made. So that will lead us to our 2 count. Now, the 2 count, my 2 count is what I would do is an off season, like a month, 6 weeks. WrestleMania would be the official end of the season. So if you want to treat it like sports entertainment, then let's treat it like sports entertainment. Right. It's a show. Okay. Mm-hmm. And every good show has a season finale, a cliffhanger. Mm-hmm. Okay. WrestleMania is, I don't care what the fuck they said about that bullshit over at Jeddah. Okay.
Yeah.
That was some bullshit. I read what happened.
No equivalent to WrestleMania.
I didn't have to spend 4 hours to know that was some complete obnoxious bullshit. I'm sorry for those who decide they want to watch that nonsense. God bless you. You are WWE.
Those are the true fans.
Yes, yes, you are. I cannot do it. Fuck that. Especially after I read that, you could definitely blow me. That was Jeddah wouldn't happen.
Right. No, of course not.
Unless and Vince, we don't have to worry about that. The end of the season. Let's just say you take a month off. Just take a month off. Get everything done creatively. Get guys healed up. Get the girls healed up. And now you come back with the draft immediately. That's the next episode, Monday Night Raw. We're doing 3 hours because God knows I got to fill this 3 hours up with something.
Right.
We're going to do a draft, and we're doing a live draft. As we'll do matches, but then as we go on, you see the bottom line. Here's the ticker where Raw drafts this person, SmackDown drafts this person, NXT drafts this person.
Oh, yeah.
So now it is a true blue superstar shakeup. So now you don't have it's not developmental anymore because I want to get rid of that.
It's not call-ups anymore.
No, it is all even Steven. So now you see the draft going, you get storylines off of that, and more importantly, you change the landscape of the roster itself because now everybody feels the same. But anyway, back to the point, the offseason for me would get everything in line. It's a reset. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like what they're doing now because they really don't have.
But they're on TV doing it.
Yeah, and you're being forced to watch it.
Right.
I'm saying, hey, take a month off. I wouldn't put 7 hours in front of you as WrestleMania, but here's the end of this season. Lucha Underground style.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
I'll see you in a month.
Right.
You can hype this shit up for a month and then do it big and bad. Come on.
Okay. So
go ahead.
A lot of points on that. So a lot of positive points on that. One, cliffhangers work
all the time.
So even
the Lucha Underground, when they had Wade Barrett at the end, I was like, "Oh, what? Wade Barrett's on Lucha Underground." I was like, "Oh shit, I can't wait for this next season."
So one, social media in that month will be insane because the fans are not going to shut up.
Yeah,
they will talk.
What's going to happen?
Crazy. All these fan theories, and that's good for business.
Yeah, because it keeps you in our mouths.
Exactly. That's one. So social. You know how it goes.
No, I don't.
Not you personally, but
go ahead.
So social media is a big part of that. Taking that time off, that's doing nothing but stir the pot, which is good. 2, first of all, WrestleMania should be 2 nights, especially if we're going with this.
Bill has said that.
If we have 3 major brands, and then there's still 205 and whatever little, it needs to be 2 nights, and for similar reasons why I said in the 1 count. Because you can kind of highlight things more that way. Another point, because that Raw after WrestleMania and SmackDown after WrestleMania does not work the way it did in the 90s, in the late 90s. It used to be almost, if not more exciting, the equivalent of WrestleMania.
Fuck out of here.
That Raw used to be more exciting to me than WrestleMania was. One, because I wasn't always able to order WrestleMania.
Right.
So so Raw was like, I get to see what happened.
WrestleMania, yeah.
And that's where the story everything changes.
Right.
So taking a month off, that would be the new way of making that work again. That would bring that excitement back. And with the draft, what if maybe this is shooting far out for this.
Fuck that, you run WWE now.
I get it.
Who run WWE now?
No, I do.
That's right.
I do.
That's
BFR.
right.
BFR does. BFR presents WrestleMania.
Right,
so what if the draft wasn't just a draft? What if they did a tournament thing that first month back to draft? I don't know how that would work. I don't know, because I'm thinking of it as you mentioned.
The winner is
of each bracket. Like, say there's several brackets of some kind, and the winners.
You could do that before you went on break,
right? Or
something like that. You could figure it out,
right? Just to switch up that month, even if it was after WrestleMania, that month back. If you're going to switch things up, make matches over.
Actually, I was going. I have
winner
this
goes to their brand.
I have this written down. I have KOTR, King of the Ring. So I'm thinking the same way you are, tournament style.
Bring back King of the Ring.
Yeah, but then that would be for like your NXT UK brand.
Right.
To me, that's a slam dunk. It's Britain, for Christ's sake.
Dude.
The fact that they haven't done it this before I have is incredible to me. It makes no sense at why they haven't done it.
Brought
you would
King
probably
of the Ring
want
to UK.
Yeah, or a tournament of some sort.
Right.
You would probably want to do something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
After the fact and make it for, if you win the tournament, you can challenge for your brand's championship.
Exactly.
Something
Whatever
like
the case may
Tournaments
be.
are always fun. You get matches you don't see. Go ahead.
And it kind of goes into, again, that the fantasy booking part of it. So you have that one pay-per-view that is the fantasy booking, but then when you come back from WrestleMania, we get it again in a different atmosphere, and we start feuds. We start new challenges for these wrestlers and these different brands, and it makes things interesting. Plus, making people wait is good. Make us wait.
Right.
As long as we are going to come at them with something creative we know they can invest in, make them wait for it.
That's
if it's worth it, they'll wait 2-3 months. I would
wait
because I want that shit.
Oh yeah.
Assuming nothing happens, say we have a guy in mind at WrestleMania from when we come back a month from now, and that person's hurt for doing something else, a live show, whatever. You can scramble.
Yeah. But it gives you time to scramble.
Exactly. And the writers have time to sit and think about what they might want to do for the year. I mean, us. We can sit down and think about what we want to do leading into WrestleMania. And again, it's live. It's in front of a live audience. It's pro wrestling. So people get hurt. Things happen. Things will change. But if the creative team has time to develop stories without having to do it on their heels all the time, they get that month or two or whatever it is after WrestleMania to really just reset, think about what direction they can go on some backup plans. We could be telling these fucking stories again.
And my writers aren't Hollywood writers.
No.
These are people that have been
wrestlers
or associated with wrestling in some form or fashion.
Absolutely.
What's your second way to improve the WWE?
I've said it before, and I know, and again, if it was on WWE's creative, this would not work. And it probably won't, because it looks like they're slowly but surely trying to introduce this, maybe. But stables. And the reason being, for me, in my world of this, it's a way, look, we can all agree and disagree that the Attitude Era was the best and worst time in WWE. Best because it was the highest point in their company.
Probably it's easily the most celebrated.
Absolutely. But at the same time, really looking back on it, a lot of that shit was garbage. It just happened to be entertaining.
Yeah.
So, and we had all the right people. It was the right time. It was totally different time. So it worked. But stables worked in that time because they, look at the Nation of Domination. The Nation
and Nation of Domination had an amazing
It was great. And the reason why, especially with the Nation, and I always go to them because, first of all, they're one of my favorites, if not my favorite stable in WWE at the time.
Yeah.
Even over DX. DX was funny, and they had great, fucking Shawn Michaels is a god. Well, but they were so good because in my whole, the whole getting over thing, The Rock is a great example. Nobody fucking cared about The Rock or gave two shits. They all hated him until he flipped heel and went to the Nation.
Then it was on.
The Rocket went from there.
Right.
Same with Farouk. Farouk went from being that his name was Farouk as that weird gladiator guy.
Right.
They kept the name because it fit for what he was going into after that, going into the Nation.
Then, once he went to the Nation Domination, it makes sense.
He was a leader. He was leader of the Nation. Mark fucking Henry.
Right.
They didn't really have much to do for him either. Putting him in the Nation gave him something to do.
Spin off his sexual chocolate.
Well, right. And D'Lo and even Owen Hart.
Right.
They put the right components in there. Why did they do that? Because they were able to use each and every one of them in other feuds with other stables, which crossed over all of those storylines, gave everybody something to do and someone to be. Now, everybody's friends, but nobody's friends. And, every once in a while, Roman and Seth might help each other out. But none of that is coherent. None of that is telling me a story. And I don't have any interest or investment in what they're doing with the story if all these convoluted things, stable versus stable, it put Roman with the Usos forever.
The fact that they haven't done that,
they've kind of been playing with it.
No, they haven't done
but
that.
But
they're not. They just need to just go ahead and
full on
call
Samoan Dynasty.
Okay, fill in the blank of whatever the fuck you want to call it. Call it that and let them run rampant over the roster. Turn them into a heel stable and just sit back and watch the carnage unfold. Do you know how over they would be over as a heel stable? That's ridiculous.
You know how much I would pop for Roman Reigns for the first time? Like, because look, I don't hate Roman Reigns. I think he's a great talent, and I think he's gotten better year after year. But the problem is, again, we're not writing the shows.
Right.
So
we are now.
Right. So in NXT, look at Roman.
Right.
In NXT, when he was working heel, he was not amazing because he was still learning. He was still real green. But when he was wearing a suit and he was telling people they were lower than him, it fucking worked. And they don't even have to go that far. It's just them three being cocky as fuck because they are the Samoan dynasty of wrestling.
Right.
That's all they need.
And you have the pedigree to prove it. You now have the titles to prove it. Blah, blah, blah.
You don't need The Rock to endorse you anymore. Fuck The Rock at that point. He's our cousin, but whatever.
I was getting ready to say, if you wanted to go that route, you can go that route.
You could, because they don't need anybody.
No,
they're them.
Go ahead.
That's what I'm getting at. And you could, they tried to do it, I guess, with the New Day with the Freebird rule with the tag titles, where they could kind of swap the.
See, that's another story for another time, right there. Fuck that up.
But put one of the main titles on. If you put the one titles on Usos and then give them a U.S. title on one or the other of them too. Put gold on them.
That's all you really need, and then let that go rampant. At that point, that's like the undisputed era for NXT.
Exactly. Look at them. Great example.
A great example, because now you have a story within a story. Is Roderick Strong going to turn on Adam Cole? And ultimately, it always happens where a great heel stable always implodes.
Of course.
But that's the story in the story. And if you do it right, which we would in JCB's world of WWE, you would tell the story about how Adam Cole has, gotten to this point. Now he's the champion, but, lurking in the background is this sleeper cell that eventually will implode on him, and then chaos will reign in the undisputed era. But that is another story for another time. So that will lead us to our 3 count. So your 3 count. Third ring, you would fix the WWE and make it a better product. Go.
You start with this one.
I got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more things. No 50-50. We're getting there is no such thing as 50-50 booking, because
explain what 50-50 is.
The 50-50 booking, for those who don't know, those who are new to wrestling 101 lingo, 50-50 booking is if myself and Eric had a match and Eric won on Monday Night Raw, but then
I believe it.
Your boy would come back on Tuesday Night SmackDown and win the match. That would be what is called 50-50.
It's a flip-flop, basically.
You win one, I win one. The reason why I say that is a problem is because that does not establish a hierarchy of who is good, who is not. So that would be like, let's say, a certain team that might have won the Stanley Cup this year, just last night, as a matter of fact.
Last night.
Let's just say that team now goes into their next season and everybody is basically the same. We're just going to flip-flop wins and losses the whole way through. Nobody separates from each other. So we basically all have the same amount of wins. If I'm not mistaken, it is a 82-game season. Easy, 82-game season. All right, so let's just say we'll make it simple, 41-41. Nobody separates. Nobody looks good. You can't tell who is going to be the next Stanley Cup champion or who's not going to be the next Stanley Cup champion. So, like in sports, the WWE has to get away from this 50-50 booking, because after Roman Reigns, after Ronda Rousey or Charlotte or whomever else they give a shit about at this point, the rest of this roster is a jumbled, hot mess. Nobody is separating from each other. Not only can they have to get away from the 50-50 booking, but on kind of a side note, they got to kind of figure out a way to get baby faces over. I think that's kind of ties hand to hand. If you can get a baby face with a good story and get them on a little hot streak, dare I say, a certain team that it's like Layla Anderson from the Superfan from the St. Louis Blues. For
Oh,
those who
man.
don't know,
That's my favorite part of this
Okay.
whole story on that.
there's this fan for the St. Louis Blues, Layla Anderson. She's like 8 or 9 years old, and she's just coming back from cancer, and she's a huge St. Louis Blues
Whooped
fan,
its ass.
and she's making her recovery. God bless her. So the point I'm trying to make is that she's gone with this journey with the Blues, went to Game 6, saw that they lost, and then the Blues made the conscious decision of flying her out to Game 7 so she could be there with the team to see them win the Stanley Cup. Obviously, they win. She's on the ice. She gets to hold the Stanley Cup. She kisses it.
Beautiful moment.
And that's the first time in this whole thing I actually shed a tear about
Same
it.
here.
Because honestly, I love sports, but hockey kind of lost me when they struck the last time, and I haven't come back since. Now you got the story of my hometown team bringing the cup home, and you got this little girl kissing the fucking cup.
And crying.
And
like,
crying.
Just
They
so
told
happy.
a story, so now I'm ready for next season's hockey
This is
season to come
Band
back.
from Ringside.
Shut me up. I'm ready for next hockey season to come back. The 50-50 booking gets away from telling a good story because
Exactly.
all you're doing is telling the same story, just one after the other. No more 50-50 booking. It takes away from originality. It takes away from
agree.
creativity, and you cannot tell a good story. The bottom line is 50-50 booking just doesn't work. Go.
I totally agree. Now, I will say that there are times in rare occasions where that might work if you're telling the correct story and making 50-50 part of it. But that's all they do.
Yeah,
So
205 Live has this problem where they like the tiebreaker.
right,
So they do the 50-50, but they get the tiebreaker and then that's it.
right.
So I'll give them credit because once they do the tiebreaker, they're done for a little bit. These guys separate and they move their separate ways. Go ahead.
There's a way to do it, but
There is a way to do it.
It's just in our WWE that will not be the regular thing. Like I
No.
said before we went on the air, Raw and SmackDown are one-off shows now. They're not tune in this week because we need you to tune in next week. It's tune in this week because we have this going on.
Yeah,
tune in next week to see the same fucking thing. There's no cliffhangers like we said about Mania. There's no reason for me to watch next week.
Oh, there's a cliffhanger. It's Firefly Funhouse. That's
right,
the cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Because what is going to happen next week?
Right. So the two. Let me just shit on them for just a second.
I guess
Just a second.
Yeah, I guess we've been nice enough.
The two segments that work on WWE program, and I'll make this quick. The two segments that work the most in WWE programming right now, not NXT, but main roster, are Firefly Funhouse and the 24/7 title.
That's a damn shame.
Now, Firefly Funhouse is a dude who has not even been in the ring yet as far as this new adaptation. It has just been fantasy stories. There has been no physical anything, and that's why I tune into Raw on Monday nights, is to see whatever little clip that's like 30 seconds long of Firefly Funhouse. 24/7 title's almost the same way. There's not a lot of in-ring stuff. It's mostly social media at this point, and then a couple of the little interludes here and there on the main roster. None of it is actual real wrestling yet, though. And that's the two things that now I'm done.
Third way to fix the WWE.
It's going to be two things, but the first one's real quick. First of all, set changes. Get rid of the entire fucking LED everything. What used to excite me the most, I have notebooks on top of notebooks on top of notebooks filled with my own fantasy Titantrons and entranceways.
Right.
I used to be obsessed with those in WWE 2K19. I build them all from scratch. It's boring as fuck that all of the pay-per-views, other than maybe WrestleMania, pretty much have the same exact setup as Raw and SmackDown.
Right.
It's not a big thing.
No, it's not.
But
But honestly, it's so minute that I didn't even trip off of it until you really started to talk about it.
It's just kind of boring. Like, don't get me wrong. Include all the LEDs because some of that stuff they're able to do with that is cool. Like, not this one specifically, but Baron Corbin a while back, maybe a year or two ago, had the one where there was like a destroyed city and it would go to black.
Yeah.
That was cool as hell.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So there's ways of doing some cool stuff with that. But come on, give us something.
Right.
And then pyro, but that's, whatever. That doesn't really matter.
No, that matters. I'm sorry. That just fucking matters.
It did it in AEW. I popped every single time.
We're having fucking pyro in JCB's WWE. God damn it.
So my other real actual thing that I would change, completely fell into this beer because as I'm saying it, I don't fucking remember where I was going with that. You go ahead for a second.
No, that's fine. I was going to say, you made me lose train of thought. Just kind of 50-50 booking is kind of where I was just going to come back to it. I just don't have a problem with the not the NXT, but the 205 Live portion of it. Especially, like I said, you have a firm ending. This Vince's WWE does the 50-50, does hot shots of titles, which, we can't do that anymore. Go ahead.
Okay, so titles. So WWE has more titles than any wrestling promotion in the world at this point, it seems like. I think even New Japan has less titles than the WWE. And
they do have a 6-man, but go ahead.
Of course, but rightfully so. There's so much fucking TV that they have to have championships for almost everybody. That kind of goes back to my first one. There's so much talent.
Right.
But also, other than when almost Daniel Bryan, and very few others other than NXT, yet again, they do not treat that title, and I mean any of them. I remember when the European Championship meant something for a second.
For a hot second.
And that's crazy to think about now.
Yeah.
Intercontinental Championship was my favorite championship of all time. And it makes me sad, physically sad, that the right people, they don't necessarily put it on the wrong people. It's not anything about that. I think who's got it right now?
The Intercontinental Champion is Finn Balor.
Perfect. He's actually probably, if you go back in time,
he would be an amazing.
He would be the perfect Intercontinental
1980s
Champion.
Intercontinental Champion.
Because, in my opinion, that was the call-up title. That was the NXT title before there was NXT.
Yeah.
Because you knew whoever had that, either Intercontinental title was going to move up to the world title eventually, or they made the fucking IC title mean something special.
Yeah.
So don't even look at the world titles. Because, Universal title and the WWE title are fine. It is what it is.
That's what it is.
But the same thing can transition to those as well. The Intercontinental title to me, though, it is the example in the fact that people fought for those titles. And now they're like, it's like Shane McMahon stories or like.
Don't get me fucking started.
And the funny part is, like, I keep asking me what one of my top 5 favorite matches of all time is, and I go back to Kurt Angle and Shane McMahon and King of the Ring. But that was not what they're doing now.
Right.
Shane wasn't talking about being the best in the world at the time. He went in there and got his fucking ass whooped.
Right.
It was crazy. It wasn't just him having who should be the main star of any show being his lackey and now dressing like him.
Yeah, see.
Start yelling.
No, because we're going to. I know where we're going with this, and I want go ahead and finish, so then we can finish the 3 count, and then we can move to eyes and ends.
Okay.
It kind of is falling into my lap. We're like mind melding here, baby. We're mind melding here.
There's a way to go back and it could go into what you said about taking some time off. Make the titles important. Make that what we're fighting for. You don't always have to make it, oh man, you spilled water on me or you broke my sunglasses.
Right.
Like, it's not always about something stupid. Now, granted, WWE is tailoring to children.
It's sports entertainment.
And it is, and that's fine. Don't get me wrong. If I was a 9-year-old kid right now watching WWE, I probably wouldn't give a shit about the stuff we bitch about.
Probably not.
But I also don't think I'd be as interested because even as a kid, I was ready to see what happened next week because of the way they were. So in my opinion, I guess all in all, the titles all still come down to fucking storytelling. Proper storytelling.
So is this, you're saying you're calling for better storytelling?
Absolutely.
So that way everybody follows along.
You can make things feel more important, make the titles feel more important, make this guy feel more important. And the heel face ratio, there's art to being a heel that I think is lost. Samoa Joe would be the best of the best if they would let him.
Jesus.
But the only way to get your faces over is by having a fantastic, unbelievably
I agree.
good heel.
Yeah.
And that even dynamic. We have some good heels,
We just don't have good faces to complement the good heels.
or we just don't know how to tell the difference. You know, the story, because one week KO is the best heel in the business, and the very next week he's eating pancakes with the New Day. So and that's obviously not an exact point.
Preach the gospel, baby.
But they switched that shit up so much that there's no way to really plant those seeds.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Nice way to wrap it up, and that'll be it for our 3 counts. Now, let's talk about a little F&B eatery on the corner of 3453 Southampton Mafia Restaurant Numero Dos. Check out my boy Mike, the man with the plan for your needs for smash burgers, patty melts, take the kids menus, the whole shebang. If you're up early on Saturday, Sunday morning, you want to grab something to eat before you knock out that honeydew list, slide on over to F&B Eatery, 3453 Southampton. Tell them that Bam from Ringside sent you. Also, our other sponsor this week, Schlafly Brewery once again. Schlafly kicks us down a little love. Go check out Schlafly. You know where it is. Nothing to really brag too much about outside the fact that it is the best damn beer in St. Louis. Woo! Right here, easy. Okay. Odds and ends, still sticking with the format, but we're going to kind of do it a little more on a rapid fire kind of an issue where I will spit out a couple of ideas. Murray will spit out a couple of ideas. We'll go back and forth for the next 10 minutes. Next idea of what you would do to make WWE better.
Let me go a little bit more into detail, because I guess I didn't realize the odds and end would go back into that, is the heel thing.
Yeah.
So, granted, everybody kind of knows I'm the nice guy on the show. I'm always so positive. Just wait, like WWE will do something good.
Somebody's got to be nice to these motherfuckers.
No, they don't. But all in all, it's because I'm positive about wrestling and I want it to shine. And I'm a WWE mark from when I was a kid. So I'm still invested, but they're fucking it up. Anyways, but the heel thing, I don't know if casual fans understand the dynamic. It's not good guy versus bad guy. It's bad guy fucks everything up, tears everything apart, and does everything they can possibly do to tear down the face, make the face look like a giant piece of shit, like they can't do it, so that we root for that guy or girl in that scenario, and finally they get their comeuppance. If you look back, this guy was just a manager. He wasn't even really a wrestler. Look at Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Great example.
He is the epitome, in my opinion. There's plenty of them, but he's my favorite example of the perfect heel. For one, he could be silly. So he had the comedy going. He had kids like me reaching out.
Physical
for him.
comedy wasn't that big of a stretch for him.
Right. It was great. But he was the guy that no matter, like when Andre turned, Andre was the most beloved wrestler in the world at that point. And the second they saw him standing next to him, he was automatically fucking hated.
Yeah.
That's what we need in the WWE. We need a reason to root for someone. Right now, we love all the heels and hate all the faces. And not saying that that's a bad, because I grew up loving heels, but I grew up loving #boo the heels. I loved hating these guys. I understood even as a 9-year-old kid that's how it worked.
Right.
You have to build these faces. And the only way to do that is by building, like, heel managers and heel wrestlers have a bigger job than anybody, in my opinion, on any roster, because they're the ones carrying the champions.
You got to get these guys over.
They have to. And like Samoa Joe, for example, what they're doing right now with him and Ray, it should make sense. that should actually be amazing.
Yeah, and it's
But
some of it is injuries, but then other part of it
let's
is
scratch the injuries.
Okay.
Let's just completely throw the injury out. I don't think they would have been going, because look what they've done with Samoa so far.
Right.
They've only threw him in to say the best fucking promos you could possibly say in front of a live audience as a heel, but then nothing really happens. And then they just move him on to the next guy. Exactly. And it's like, no,
Kevin Owens.
Exactly. Like, okay, so first of all, they put the U.S. title on Samoa again. I think the way they did it was garbage by just handing it over.
You don't give it a title.
They could have just given it to him, but be creative about how you're doing it. They just, I'm hurt. Here's your title. I'm a good guy.
What the fuck is that?
That's not how you get a face over. Ray is it's not doing Ray any justice by being the good guy to give the bad guy the title. That's fucking retarded. It's so dumb.
What you do, you still have a match, but then you have Ray be the classic underdog. He gets tortured.
Exactly.
Make it 3 or 4 minutes. Ray taps out. Here's the title back. Everybody walks away because Ray couldn't handle the pain. You got Ray get healthy. You come back. Here's the title rematch. Ray gets the title back, or whatever you want to do. It's not that hard.
It's not. Or you don't even give it to Ray. Stretch that fucking story out a little bit.
I wouldn't even have Ray touch
beat the shit out of that dude for a while.
Wow. Let Ray go away.
Stealing.
Yeah. Let Ray
Eddie
go
Guerrero
away.
The shit out of
it. If he has to get healthy, go get your surgery. We'll have the title when you come back. We'll start the program again. Real fucking simple. Creative is a huge fucking problem.
Absolutely.
Some of the things I wrote down in no particular order, own promos. I think these guys need to cut their own promos. The promos that they're given by this nonsense creative that Vince has doesn't make sense. Makes them look, especially the baby faces, they make them look really weak, really silly. We're not going to give you promos in JCB's WWE. I'm going to give you the mic. I'm going to tell you this is what you need to talk about. Now you need to go out and get over. Now, if you can't get over, then that's something that's on you. Mm-hmm. I'm giving you the opportunity to get over, so you don't have any more excuses to say, well, JCB doesn't want me to get over. No, motherfucker, I gave you the mic and you went over there and flopped. That's on you. Evolution needs to come back as a pay-per-view. Why? Because number one, the women's revolution as it stands is a bunch of horse garbage. We need their own stand out every year pay-per-view. It would be Evolution. It would be in the rotation of WWE pay-per-views like everything else. I think that's an amazing idea. The fact that they're not having it this year is a goddamn shame. No HOF. What I mean by no HOF, I don't want to see Goldberg versus Undertaker anymore. No more Hall of Fame wrestlers. This kind of is starting to include Shane McMahon, even though he's not a Hall of Fame wrestler. His character is taking away from other people's shine. The fact that Drew McIntyre is being his heavy and possibly setting up Shane McMahon to take the title away from Kofi Kingston bothers the dog shit out of me. What's today's date?
It's the 13th.
13th. November, June 13th.
November.
Yeah, my fault. I'm saying it right now.
Schlafly.
Yeah. June 13th, 2019. If Shane McMahon wins the title off of Kofi Kingston, I'm not watching WWE for the rest of the calendar year. This is horse shit. This is going to be my fear. Now you're really fucking with my fear, and you're going to bring in Shane McMahon to do it? Fuck that. I would not watch SummerSlam if that shit goes down. King of the Ring was my last idea, but we kind of touched on that. Go ahead.
There's real quick. There's a rumor going around that the reason why Shane might take that title from Kofi is because they're going to take it back. They're going to have Brock take it from Shane, which would be great, except for Kofi. Take it off anybody other than, take it off Seth in that way.
Okay,
Fuck
so
it.
see, so now
I'm not saying I agree.
So not only are you pissing in my face, you telling me that this is just water. It's not piss. You just gonna keep pissing in my face. No, see, there's the problem. Okay, here's your rant for the last 30 seconds before we get the fuck up out of here. Nobody wants to see the two people you don't want to see. I shouldn't say you. I don't want to see as champion right now on June 13th, 2019. Shane or Brock.
No.
Shane has no business even beating now Roman Reigns, Miz, whomever. No, that shouldn't be happening. And Brock, God bless you. The fact that he has the briefcase is kind of bothersome to cashing in on. Now you're once again, you fucking know how to get heat on a motherfucker because you got me getting ready to have a goddamn coronary over here, but you can't get a motherfucker over to save his life. Kofi shouldn't even be in this point. You should have Kofi fighting battle against battle. The fact that he's winning matches and doing it
he's
well.
That face that we were talking about needs that heel.
Right. The fact that he's winning matches in a good in a positive way, pancakes aside, I like that shit. It's not like, he's skating by the skin of his teeth. He's winning convincingly. But I'm going to tell you what, if he fucking gives this belt up to Shane McMahon, I'm not mark that date down. And from that point on, kiss my natural ass, not once, not twice, but thrice. Go ahead.
If Shane would have been a real full-time wrestler 10 years ago and would have continued, because he's in great shape.
Maybe I would start to give this a
But that's not the case, though.
No, he's never been a full-time wrestler.
No, this is Vince light somebody because we're talking about what we would do.
He's just giving me that look. We're going to have to wrap this up, strike it up so we can get the fuck up out of here. Hey, this was an interesting afternoon of Banned from Ringside. I do say so myself. Thank you for Mr. Murray Man Murray to accompany me by my side. For Shock City Studios.
Check.
For Easy E. Thanks, Easy. Good job tonight.
Check.
For BFR Bill.
Check.
For Two Beers Zach Coleman.
Check.
For Murray the Murray Man Murray.
Check.
For Schlafly.
Check.
For
check.
For JJ Twitch.
Check. Everybody on YouTube.
For YouTube.
They're all getting it.
For check. So I would take a tip of the hat for your boy CP, baby! Yeah, everybody! Through the heels!
Boo the heels.
How does he have problems with this? This is too easy.
Look at this.